Susan Faludi researched and wrote The Terror Dream. She was trying to understand what happened to America after 9/11. People performed much better than their leaders and the media, but in the end were overwhelmed by pop culture. As she states it, we basically were just defending a myth instead of defending a nation.
What you find is, on the one hand, individual Americans who may be struggling with what's really going on in their own private and responsible and even courageous ways. And then you've got the culture as a whole, which lies over us like a cement blanket that silences those individual gropings toward truth and reality. It really struck me the other day. I was at the New York Historical Society, which has just opened an exhibit on 9/11, and they have all these photographs and testimonials from people in New York in the early days. And when you look at these, and these are just average New Yorkers, you look at these photographs, and over again you see signs being held up. Let this not lead us into war. There was one with a John Wayne figure, and somebody, had put a sign over it, this is not the direction we want to go in. And you see the same thing in the taped testimonials.
That was quite touching as you rendered it.
We live in we're choked by this commercial culture that drowns out the individual human voices and drowns out, or has really wiped out an actual civic and culture and actual public society. I mean, it used to be the culture came out of the society. Now we have a culture that is imposed on people and very little civic society to push back.
The first heroes, second heroes out of this were of course, the New York City firemen.
Mm-hmm. The real ones, not the ones that pretend.
Right. Well, I mean, the New York City firefighters were asked to settle for hero worship in place of the tools and protections they needed to do their jobs effectively.
Which had effectively killed those people.
343 people who did not need to die.
Exactly. And, the media and the political culture spoke for these firefighters, but if you actually go and look at and read what the firefighters said, and there are more than 500 oral history accounts that the firefighters gave the New York Fire Department, in which over and over again they talk about how victimized, how betrayed they felt by the failure of leadership, by the failure of basic equipment. And they don't define themselves as heroes in this, they define themselves as victims. You see this quote over and over again. One of the more poignant quotes was, "The only difference between us and the victims on 9/11 was that we had flashlights." And tellingly, these oral history accounts were repressed for more than 3 years by the city. It went to the highest court in the state before the city was forced to cough up these accounts. And even then, it was, a one-day story.